And just like that. Let's just go.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi. So we were talking about temperature, which is what you do when one of you lives in a country where you have, or in a country where you like have complete polar opposites of what we have. Um, the one of the things that I thought was, or a framing that I found interesting and useful was that like Celsius degrees are from the perspective of water. Like
Hmm.
0 is effing cold and 100 is effing hot. But like
Right.
Fahrenheit is from the perspective of people, where like 100 Fahrenheit is uncomfortably hot. Like you don't really want to get at very much hotter than
Hmm.
that. 0 Fahrenheit, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fucking cold.
Interesting.
Excuse me.
Good
I don't know.
framing.
Yeah, I feel like Fahrenheit is, I mean, it doesn't make sense in my brain because I've just grew up with Celsius, but I feel like it's the one unit that kind of makes sense as like a, like as a human, I
You
guess.
think
I don't know.
so?
Like,
The
I
one that
mean,
Americans didn't totally F up.
yeah, like, talking about like feet or random like yards or whatever, like makes no sense. Like it makes
Yeah.
sense to have something like based on some, I guess water is the same, like on the SI or whatever, like it's based on something not human, right? It's just, well,
Theoretically.
okay, I take it back. Maybe it makes sense in my brain, but maybe it doesn't make sense for scientists.
That's fun. Okay, so hi. Um, everybody doing good? Yeah,
Yeah, how are you?
good.
How's it going?
So this is a show and tell. So we could talk about the weather, but instead, let's show some things and tell some things. So, usually I think what we do here is we do like an estimate of
Yeah.
t-shirt size. So I'll say I have something that I can show that I think is kind of like a small, could be medium, depending on how much we talk about it. I do have a second thing that's like a backup that could be again small or medium. But I would save that one if we don't have time. Jackie, how about you?
I think I'm going to keep it pretty neutral and say medium.
Mm.
Perfect.
How about you, Pavlos?
I have two small ones, so I guess that makes sense. So yeah, we can go. And I have some follow up from the last one or last one
Ooh.
where I talked about the dot files. Not super interesting, but it's also like a super small one. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Do you want to
Steve.
kick it off with that? Do you want to do the follow-up first, and then we can
Oh
just
yeah,
like knock
sure.
that one
I
out,
could totally do that.
and then maybe jump to Jackie's medium because that's the largest one.
Sounds
And then
good.
you and I can kind of ping pong at the end until we run out of time.
Sounds good.
You
All
guys
How's
are
that
right.
sound?
good
Yeah.
with the multi topics. My God, I'm not
But that
prepared.
doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that they're interesting.
Of course, yes.
Just because we have them.
It's just something that we can show and tell. Uh,
Exactly. Exactly.
all right, I can start this off then. Yeah. So last
Okay.
time, just a quick reminder, we talked about a little bit about my dot files and yours, Jackie, and John's. I was complaining about having like some symlinks issues, blah blah. So my thought was that I had these two projects, the mackup and the Chez-moi. One is not working anymore for the last 3 or 4 Mac releases. The other one is just a little bit like annoying. Like it works great, but like it has a billion commands and I cannot remember them. So I was trying to put them together. So I can show you what I have here. Um, let's see. Oh no. Let's
I
see,
think you
because
can I think you can request to present and then I have to okay it, or do I have to share
yeah.
your screen?
Let's see, entire screen. Oh, let's make my screen. Oh, I should have done this earlier. I'm sorry, guys. Let's make this a little bit
Oh,
smaller.
you're fine.
There we go. Okay.
Ooh, I can't see it though.
Okay. Can you see anything?
No,
No,
can't see
sir.
anything. And usually
Oh
I would
no.
see something that comes up in the little bottom window for us that
You know
says
what it might be? I
um
might need to restart my browser. Do we want to do this, or
so
I can just tell you what? happened, and then
Yeah,
I can
why
do
don't
this
you tell us,
during
and then
Yeah.
you can restart your browser when we
Yeah.
pass over to Jackie and you join as
Yeah,
quickly
yeah.
as possible.
Okay, so basically, I found that there is an issue in one of those projects that is saying, like, the title is "Join Forces with Chez-moi to manage a catalog of applications." So I was like, how did I just find this out and haven't found this out before? And it turns out that the guy that makes Chez-moi has added an undocumented command, which is you run it with Chez-moi space mackup space and then the actual like Xcode or something, and then it reads the markup config and then it adds the files. So it basically is exactly what I was thinking of trying to do, without the bit that I declare the apps, and I have to just do it manually. So
Sure.
I'm like 90% there. So I basically was using this the past week or a couple of weeks, I guess, to transfer some stuff from one machine to another machine, and it was pretty easy, pretty nice. I still feel like the file that would declare everything would be a little bit nicer, because I found out that this Mac app configuration sometimes has like many files, and when I add it manually now, I might not have a file, so like a secondary configuration file. But like if I create it, then it's still missing, and I have to re-add that application. Whereas if I had it with my like thing, my thought, it would just be added automatically. But in any case, I'm very happy that I don't have to build the whole thing, and I just have to build like
Yes.
a script basically. So I'm very much okay with the script. So yeah, that was great. I'm happy with that. My dot files are in a better state than they were last week, and I'm happy about that.
How did you find this undocumented command?
I decided to just go and start doing it, and then I don't remember where. Like I was just looking around for like both names. I have no idea how I haven't found this before. And I actually commented on that ticket, and I was like, "Oh, just last week we were talking about this, blah blah," and the guy that makes this application or whatever says, "Oh yeah, it's totally there. You can use it." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, this is a little bit annoying. Good idea, blah blah blah." So I was like, I felt validated, you know, felt seen. So that was great. So yeah, I'm happy about that, and that's all.
So your dot files are in good shape, so that
Yes.
when you use them again in a year or 2 years,
Yeah, I would have forgotten how to do it.
Yes, exactly.
No, but actually, I did add some aliases to make this easier for me.
Aliases.
So yeah, aliases. So yeah, hopefully I won't forget them, but they are there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm glad it turns out to be a script thing. Like
Yeah.
the remaining 10% that it's a script, because if it wasn't a script thing, then like that 10% might have been enough to make you just like want to write your own thing anyways.
Yeah, I mean the weirdest thing would have been to combine those two tools. So it would have to be like I would have to assume that you have both installed.
Yeah.
And then just call them or whatever. So it would still be some kind of collection of scripts, I guess. And probably I would make them into like a binary or some like packaged thing. But now it can just be like literally one script, and that's very, very, very easy to just hack it, and it would work for me. And if it's something that might be interesting, and I have some kind of like nice API, let's call it, I could just make it a PR to I guess one of the two or both or something, or still make it like a project, but it would just be a script that you can just curl. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Jackie, do you want to take over with your
Sure. Okay.
Pavlos, you want to restart your browser?
Yeah, I'll be back in a minute.
Let me see if I can.
See if Jackie needs to
Yeah,
restart her browser.
jeez.
I'm concerned that I'm going to need to
Oh
restart
boy.
mine because I'm usually the one who forgets to like click the update button.
Let's see. Can
Ooh,
you
I see a thing. I can
you see
share it.
yes
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
cool.
Perfect.
Yay. I can't see you guys, so let me know.
You made us more slides.
Yay. Well, so inspiration for this is I'm kind of like circling on some ideas for maybe a blog post or a talk. And I know, of course, Steve, you are our shining light and king
No.
of presenting and everything. So I thought I'd bring this humbly to you guys. But do you know Mike Birbiglia, the comedian?
I do know Mike Birbiglia, yes.
Yay! Okay.
He is very funny. A very funny comedian. Off the
Nice.
spec.
You're back?
Yes, and that's my
Hey!
favorite tool in the last couple of years. So
Oh!
But it's
let's
not
go.
a tool.
Not a tool.
It's different. It's a different mise en place.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is why it's called show and tell.
But I was just
You're
saying,
about
do
to
you
be told.
guys know the comedian Mike Birbiglia, Pavlos?
Which one?
Mike Birbiglia?
No, I don't think so, no.
He's kind of cool. He's got a podcast where it's called Working It Out, where he like talks with other comedians and they like kind of talk through like sketches of jokes before they are like
Yeah.
ready to like do shows and stuff. So I was thinking maybe in that sort of space, this is like maybe a talk I want to do, but it's still kind of in sketch mode. So I thought I'd bring it to you guys as like a humble thing to see if there's anything here. If there's not, if we should trash it, if we should just go out and get ice cream. I don't know. So
Yes to the last one.
yay!
Sounds cool.
So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the concept of mise en place I'm kind of playing with this week, and like if that translates to software engineering or just life, or if it doesn't. And I'm thinking like, you know, the definition of it is the step to put things in place before, like if you're working in a kitchen, before the cooking process. So before the execution phase, there's an explicit step where there's some sort of like preparation, you know, measuring, all this like kind of pre-work that's just as important as like the execution of everything. That's kind of like when you see on like shows or TV or in real kitchens, like the tiny little bowls with all the stuff in it already, and like you have to do a million dishes, but it's like all to expedite the execution phase of life. So I'm like, this idea of like, oh, its true purpose is to reduce the friction in, we can zoom out far enough and say any task maybe, so that when you're in like that high pressure time zone, when like, you know, constraints are important and you're dealing with like time limitations, you're just doing like the thing, like you're just cooking, you're just, you know, somehow it translates to code. I don't know if I'm there yet in this like thought process, but like just kind of thinking out loud. Yeah, so it's like all the upfront work is to prevent kind of errors or unknowns at like an execution time. And I feel like that's kind of software-y, right? A little bit. You know, and then it also kind of makes maybe the thing easier to do because you do have like, you know, the clean space, you have your little bowls, everything's measured out, there's like less unknowns, there's, you know, I don't have to go to the store to get something. It's like kind of everything's in its place. There is, maybe I'm circling on the idea of Sandy Metz has a talk where she kind of talks about like, oh, establish everything so that you can make change easy. Once change is easy, then like you can make the easy change. So like refactoring happening before, you know, expanding something or optimizing something. And I don't know, just kind of circling on, maybe there's a tie in here to the Sandy Metz talk, but maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. And I think like it's kind of, if we zoom out even further, it could be like a concept in like day-to-day life. Like if the execution won't get done if there's like just chaos before it. So I'm like, if my sink is full of dishes, like I'm not gonna want to like cook. You know, it's like that kind of like decision paralysis kind of thinking of like making things, lowering the barrier to execution to be like as low as possible. You know, kind of like if there are things in your dryer, you probably don't want to like start new laundry because then it kicks off all this other stuff you have to do. It's kind of like that. And then also like, you know, Malcolm in the Middle, where you're like with the light bulb, change the light bulb, he's doing all these other things. And there's something possibly there. I'm thinking like, as far as like the tie-ins to software, like sure, maybe Pavlos, like your stuff is a good example of like establishing your workspace on your machine to be ready to roll for your needs. You know, and if you're not like me, like I'm a total slob with my home environment and computer environment. So there's probably like organizational things there. But I also am very interested in like the tie-in to code organization itself. I think that might be a fun kind of place to take this. And I guess I'm thinking of like just general core code organization, and then like, I don't know, that's kind of where things get a little bit fuzzy down. But I'm curious if one, you think there's like a concept here or no or whatever. And I don't know, maybe next time we could explore it even further.
I like it. I think it's great. It definitely resonates for me. And I think like in a lot of ways, like it resonates in all the different like aspects that you're touching. So like the preparing things at home, the doing chores at home, that kind of stuff, and also the doing software work, that kind of thing. So yes, I definitely think there's something there. What about you, Pavlos?
Yeah,
Any thoughts?
I would agree. The only thing that I feel like I'm not sure about, and this is not about this presentation, is more about where the presentation would lead me, is about the thing that you said about making the chains easy and then easily make the chain.
Yeah.
Even though I really like the sound of that and it makes a lot of sense, I have had times where I get stuck in this make the chains easy way too long, and then like, and then I'm just making a bunch of other stuff supposedly easy, and then I never actually make the change. And if you just time the whole thing, it would have been easier if I made the change the hard way, right? So like, I totally see this, but there has to be some kind of goal or measure or like definition of easy chains, because otherwise you would just never finish if you're a specific kind of person, I guess, that
Right.
I am as well. Other than that, yeah, I like that.
Sweet. That's a good call. I mean, also as like developers, we're so ingrained to like notice failure points or like bad things, you know? And it's like, if you're not like, even in like just life stuff, like you're rewarded for finding like these pain points or things that could be better. So you're like constantly spin. It's important to have some boundaries there, I guess, in life and in code.
Yeah, we're like the worst people to be in a relationship with because all we do is find the flaws.
And then no one rewards us.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Do you know this this XKCD thing about optimization?
Yes.
that's totally related to what I was saying before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the comic is basically like just like talks about like the amount of time it takes to
like
optimize something
optimize.
versus just actually just do it.
Yeah, my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I mean, we're
Um,
totally artists, so it's like, oh, it's so hard carrying this burden, right? Like, oh, it's tough.
That's fair.
I appreciate you calling us artists.
Well, what are we then?
Um,
I
so
see
what's
it no
funny to
other
me
way.
is that specific point, actually to me, Pavlos, like jumped out as the point that I like most relate to. Like I have no issues with
Okay.
that. But so
Nice.
it comes back to, I think, like it's something that John and I talked about a lot when we would pair together, when we do pair together. It's kind of a running joke between he and I, because there's also, and I have not seen the Sandy Metz talk. I would love for you to share it, because I mean she always does such fantastic talks. But there's also like I think his name is Kent Beck. He's like a TDD guy, like one of the original people who was doing test driven development, or like popularizing it, where he says something really similar. And it's like this tweet is like kind of a running joke for John and I to basically share with each other. Because it is absolutely like so I don't think that we ever really get trapped up, or I'm sure it happens, but that never doesn't seem to be a problem when we're pairing on stuff together. And I think it's related to kind of having the vision of I don't John is like has really good vision of where he wants to go when he's writing code. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's helpful for me because I don't always have that vision. And maybe that's how you feel also, Pavlos. But to like have him there, like he knows where he wants to go, and so it's like it's pretty clear. Like, are we getting to that point? Or are we getting far beyond that point? Are we going a completely different direction? And he's usually pretty good about calling that out. So yeah, I mean maybe there is something about like that's something that I certainly could learn from John, and maybe he has some good like thoughts about that particular point. Um, Jackie, I would also like you to pull those slides back up. You pulled those on way too fast because
Ooh,
you didn't want
sorry.
people to look at them anymore. I'm not done talking about
One
this,
sec.
for
Let
the
me
record.
do this whole song dance real quick.
Also, the tie-in with the software, I guess it's very like if you know the tool that I was talking about, it's the same name, so I'm guessing there's some kind of like not exactly the thing you want, but like the fact
That'd
that
be
it
cool,
exists
yeah.
is an
Yeah.
interesting thing.
I'm gonna take a note. Yeah, that's a good call out.
It is similar. Like it's like a version manager, right? And so it's
Yes.
like kind of preparing your environment, like in your shell or in your terminal, wherever you're going to be doing the work. Um, okay, I kind of wrote down some things that I wanted to ask you about along the way. I don't know if I'll remember them, or if
Oh my God,
all of them.
that's
I think some
awesome.
of them have been answered. One of them is, Jackie, are you like a second career dev? Like, were you doing
Yes.
something before? What were you
Yeah.
doing before? If I may ask.
I used to play cello in orchestras.
You used to play cello. That's
Nice.
awesome. I thought maybe it was like food service. I thought you were
Food service?
like
Not quite,
chef, like
but
that kind of thing.
I'm a fan of food.
Yeah. Okay. Do you do a lot of cooking at home?
Yes. Yes.
And so like this, is that how this kind of came about? Was you were just like chopping onions? Or can you talk a little bit more about that maybe?
It's kind of okay. I think this comes up a lot in the bear, which is very hot in the zeitgeist right now. But I don't know. I kind of like heard about it on like cooking shows and stuff, and like it just seems very peaceful and like, well, I'm sure it's not peaceful, but like to just know that there's a process before like the most stressful time of a project is like kind of really appealing. Like how to just I guess I'm interested in like how to make stressful things less stressful, and for me that kind of translates to like prep work. So maybe that's kind of like why this has been spinning in my brain a little bit. if that makes
Um,
sense.
it does. For what it's worth, I think how to make stressful things less stressful is like a great like subtitle for this.
Ah, I dig that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was very nicely said.
There's a name for this, like for puzzles or something, right? Where or like Legos or whatever, where you just lay down all of the things. I cannot remember the term, but I'll find it. But it's basically the same, like thinking over, like having everything in front of you laid out, so that whenever you need
Ooh.
them, it's there.
Right.
Um,
And you're like zoomed out far enough, you can like see everything.
yeah. Anyway,
That's a Lego thing? Is that what you said?
I'll find the name. Yeah, it's some kind of like some not like kerning or something. I want to say, but it's not that. I'll find the specific term, but yeah.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Okay. Do you want to kind of go through the slides and it'll help me like Zoe
That's up
and
to
maybe
you, because if it's too
well,
much
I want
time,
to step through.
also
No,
we
we're good.
can
I think we're good.
pull.
You haven't been talking for that much time.
Oh, okay. Sweet. It feels like forever.
I maybe only have like one or two more things that I wanted to
Sweet.
poke at with it. But I want to find the right place to talk about it.
Much appreciated.
Oh, I think it's the next one.
Okay.
So upfront preparation prevents work error at the execution phase. I really liked that you talked about uncertainty here, about like identifying the uncertainty. Like that's I think the part that resonates with me the most, because the thing that I am the worst at in cooking is estimating time and knowing how long it's going to take me to cut the onion. And so like whenever the recipe says something like you know, cut the onion, put it in the frying pan, go cut the pepper, go cut the garlic, I'm like, I'm doing all that shit up front, because I know it's going to take me too long to do the garlic and the pepper, and it's not going to be 3 minutes or whatever you said it was going to be. But yeah, so like that actually, when you said it, I hadn't really made that connection, and that was a good association for me to kind of recognize how I like to treat like work, the software work, and definitely finding those uncertain things and tackling them first, so that I know that I can do the hard things before I can do the easy things.
Right.
Because it's not worth it. Like if you don't have the right tool to like cut up the onion,
Right.
don't even bother making it.
Right. That's cool. I think there's also like 5 explicit steps like in this concept, and one is
really?
like read your whole recipe
Oh.
before, so there's like that. I think kind of like plays in with what you're saying, like so that you can like know where the timing bottlenecks are, if you have to like put something in the oven or something, like where are the parallelizable streams, like where are the time kind of constraints. So maybe there's kind of a circling idea there.
I'd love to know more. Like, I don't know very much about mise en place in general, but I'd like to know more about like what those 5 steps are. It feels like a little bit like you'd be giving me a framework.
That sounds good. Oh, sorry. She's snoring in her sleep. I'm sorry if you hear that.
Can't hear it. Cannot hear it. But I did see that Pavlos changed his tagline to artist in quotes.
Yay!
I changed it to artist, and then Jackie said that she was an actual artist of like musician, So like, I have to put quotes.
No.
It's perfect.
We're all just trying our best.
So then the last like kind of thing that I wanted to say, and I'm gonna try to say this in a way that is like least intrusive, invasive. No, so there was a part where you were talking about, I think it was towards the beginning, where you were talking about it is actually right here. It's right here.
Okay.
If the dryer is full of clothes, I'm not likely to do more laundry. So talking about basically like if there's a big hurdle, or one of the analogies that I've seen, I'll just like get there already. So all the things that you described here like have very similar to how I would think about like my daughter with ADHD, that like there are times when there's something that's just like a big struggle and you don't necessarily know why it's there. And maybe that's the differences. If it is something with ADHD that's preventing you from getting something done, you maybe don't know what the thing is, or like it's not as obvious a hurdle. But I did notice that was parallel. It seemed like it was parallel to what you were talking about. So I don't know if that's interesting or worthwhile or not. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think zooming out even further, it's like anything that kind of blocks you from, either prolonging a phase of like work or something. Like, I think, yeah, there's something there. Like, your brain is like, and I'm analyzing it as something that's hard to do, and it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
pulls you apart.
Just gets stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the things that I wanted to say.
Cool.
I like
thank
it,
you.
and I think that you should poke at it more.
Ooh. Okay, cool. I dig that. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
All right, Pavlos, do you want to do one of your small mediums, or should I do one of mine?
You do. You go.
I go?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. So mine is actually going to be a callback a little bit to John and I hanging out last week and working on the Raycast extension that
So can you see it?
I am, let's see, entire screen. There it is. That I have been working on. Whoops. You have to there it is. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. And I'm going to pull open this PR. So basically, where John and I ended up last week on this project is I have this extension that I use, or that we built in Raycast, where I basically want to, it's this first one named go to, where I have basically like a collection of I don't know, short codes that will expand into links. So for example, if I go to GH, then I can go to me, and then I can just say like, let's do ready, set. Oops, I forgot. I have to hit that and then do ready, set, go. And so then this will take me to, based on the things that I entered, it's going to take me to the project named ready, set, go within my user org on GitHub. And so this is like basically just a tree of links that are organized in ways that make sense to me. And so one of the things that basically the point that we had gotten to before we hung out the last time was what I want to be able to do is when we were working on it, when we started that work, all of the data, which is like here in this JSON file right here. I can make that a little bit smaller because I made my screen resolution better. All was living not in this JSON file, but inside of like the code itself. Like we had, I think it was in this file, or no, it was in the routes file. We basically had dumped in here a giant thing of JSON that had that entire tree structure laid out, that then turned into all those different options in the Raycast extension. And one of the things that I wanted to be able to do was basically be able to set that tree up differently on different computers. Because if I look at this right now, one of these that's in here, the CP, that's like a personal project, or not, that's like a side project that I'm working on that I don't need, like, I don't need that on my work computer. It's just going to get in the way. So I just don't want to see it. And in addition, all the things that I'm doing on my work computer, like all the like Camunda docs repos, I don't need to see those here. If I'm working on those, I'm on my work laptop. So basically I wanted to be able to customize with each installation of this thing, what this tree was going to look like. And so John and I worked on basically trying to pull it from the file system. And my suggestion, which he did not like, was to just have a field in Raycast that, so like if I go to extensions in Raycast, I can, on my extension right here, I can add settings here. So I was like, let's just dump the the entire JSON in this field, and he was like, please don't do that. Like an angel dies when you do that. Every time you do that. So he suggested like maybe just do the file path and then stick it in your dot files, which is a great suggestion. So that's what we were working on. We did get to the point that we had inserted this path field here, but one of the things that we didn't get to was how do we actually like then load that data. So I managed to finish that up kind of on my own. And so that's this PR here. Oops, I'm sorry, wrong keys. Should have just been at 0 the whole time. Okay, so adds a preference for storing the path to the configuration file. You can go watch that other stream to see if you want to see how that happens. But also then modifies the routes file to do some things. And so I'll show you what those things are really quickly. So here, this in package.json, this is the change that adds that preference, that text box preference. And then, okay, whatever. Route list is the thing that is basically a recursive rendering of the tree. All I did there was clean up some console logs that I didn't need anymore. Nothing interesting happening there. Now the index, this is basically like the entry point for the command. So if I do this, each one of these things is a command, and so this go to is a command, and then so is reload configuration. And I'll tell you why reload configuration now exists. But so this command is the one that is associated with when I hit go to, basically. And what we're doing here now, what changed with this is previously the routes that were being passed in were static JSON. Now we are actually going to use an effect hook to get the routes. And the routes are going to come from some other function, which we'll look at.
Nice.
But basically, it's going to read them asynchronously from the file system, stick them in a piece of state, and then pass them through to the route list, which will render that tree of items. It has apparently been so long since I have written like useful interactive React code that it took me a really, really long time to even remember that I had to write an effect or that I had to call use effect to do this. I was like trying to just like load the stuff in one line. Basically, I had like await get routes on the main line of this command, and that wasn't working. Eventually, I got there. Okay, so now reload.ts, that's now another command. That's the second command that you saw here. That says reload configuration. Okay. And the reason this exists is because one of the things that John and I were talking about was, okay, like this is cool that we can get this, but I don't want to go to the file system and load that tree every single time that I hit command space. That's ridiculous. Or sorry, that I go to the command. So this is basically a way for us to implement some caching. What I did instead of pulling from the file system directly, if we go look at this get routes, is right here. I take advantage of actually Raycast has a cache provider that you can pull in. And then, yeah, it's just like your typical like caching situation. So see if you can get it from the cache. If you can get it from the cache, then return that JSON parsed effectively because it's just stored as a string. And then if you don't, so this is basically like the first time that command runs, then load routes from the file. And so this is now the thing where I probably can get rid of this console. But yeah, just does some things to fudge with the path itself to go to the actual home directory. Because I entered it into that path as ~, but I need an actual path. So resolve that, and then reads the file and loads the JSON, and then sticks it in the cache once it's got it and returns it. So just a little bit of caching there to load the routes. So what that means then is I also need a way to reload them, or the cache is going to always be used. Basically, I need to be able to invalidate the cache. And so I do that through this other command, the other one that you saw that is like reload configuration. I clear the routes, which effectively clears the cache, so it probably could be named a little bit differently. It's right there, clear routes, removes the routes item from the cache. And then, where does it? Past it. And then gets the routes again. And then shows some toast
nice.
because that's like the one of the ways to communicate feedback.
Do you
And
have
that's
to?
pretty much it.
Do you have to run reload, or like if you just boot up your computer and the first time you go and use the command, does it load it automatically if there's no cache or whatever?
The first time I run it, it'll hit this. So it'll
Okay.
hit await get routes. And when it goes to await get routes and the cache is empty, it will miss on this half and
Okay.
then actually go get them from the file. So no,
Ah,
you don't
nice.
need to manually load it. It's just basically
Nice.
to reload it. So if I were to go make changes to it, then I can yeah, I just like then hit the reload and it'll pull all of them in again. And then it just keeps on working. So
Nice.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Most of this is just like built into what we have from Raycast. So we have a cache provider that's provided by them. We have the ability to get preference values to get the path, and then it's all React. So if you're gonna load something asynchronously, yes, please use an effect to do that.
Nice.
That is what I have.
Nice.
Is there any
That's awesome.
questions or anything I can say about it?
I have one.
Yes.
First of all, I didn't know that a cache exists. That's kind of cool. Is this
Yeah.
like a key value store kind of thing? Like you give it
That
like a local store or
right.
that kind of stuff, right?
Oh,
I think that it is just like a key value pair type of thing.
Yeah.
But let's take a look and see what we can see. So this is the docs. Cache to update and retrieve data synchronously
Yeah,
based
get
on a
it.
key. The data must be a string, and it's up to the client to decide which serialization format to use.
Ah, okay.
So it is
Cool.
really just like key value, but it's going to be a string.
Okay. And then my actual question is, when you hit the command and it gives you like the three, like CP something and something, yeah, are these just ordered by like alphabetically, I guess, right? Not by recency or by whatever.
Yeah, they're
Or like,
not.
is
They
that
are
the thing
not.
that you care? Okay.
At long term, I do like the idea of having it by recency, but the truth is also like I have so much muscle memory built into just like
You
hitting
just type it
two
anyway.
keys, and because this filtering is built into Raycast, like we didn't need to build that at all. That's awesome.
Nice.
That saves me. It saved us a ton of time. It doesn't bother me too much. As for the alphabetical order, it happens to be the case that these are just in that order in the I can show you
Okay,
in the
in the
JSON
code.
file that I have. So it's like the CP1, I'm not going to
nice.
expand it because it's got things that I probably shouldn't share.
Okay,
And
okay.
then the GH and the Google, they're in that route.
Okay.
So, or in that order. If I change the order, then that's how they would appear. It wouldn't take very much to reorder them. You know, probably here where I do get routes,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I could just like you know, sort them in here.
Okay.
Something like
So
that.
are you now using it instead of the previous command that you had? Like, is it at the
I
stage
am.
where it replaced it? Nice.
Yep, I'm using it. I'm still not used to it. I still always miss the fact that I have to hit Command Enter on things, like that instead
Okay.
of just hitting Enter. Because the one that I was using before was just like it had one text box. I typed the stuff and I hit Enter. So that's like some muscle memory I have to unlearn. And other than that,
Wait, where's the command? Where's the command enter now?
oh, sorry. I'll present one more time.
Or do you mean like hitting enter more than once?
So there I hit enter, but if I were to go to like Google and then this is where I want to hit I'm not going to hit Google with whatever search term I want. So I don't know what's something interesting like thanks
Nice.
no. So now here
Nice callback.
to submit this form, it's Command Enter, not just Enter. If I just hit
Okay.
Enter,
And
it just selects the damn thing.
okay, can't you change it? Isn't that like a
It's
customizable thing?
I
Must
don't
be,
know.
right?
I didn't look into it. I just figured my brain had to relearn.
No, there must be a way for this. Okay, cool. Nice work.
Very
Sweet.
good.
What are
That's
you
what I have.
guys working on next for your integration?
Yeah, I
there?
think we're done with it.
Oh, sweet.
I mean, there are like things that we could do, but they're like 90. It's like 95% done, and the remaining 5% is edge casey things. It would be like, yeah. So like maybe I can change the key binding for submitting that form. From command enter to enter. Or one of the things that bothers me with it is it retains the state. So when I pull it up, it's right where I left it the last time. And I'd like to
gotcha.
start over at the top of the tree.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, kind of like minor things like that. But it's completely usable at this point, which I am enjoying.
Hey,
Nice.
sick.
I think mine ended up being more medium than small. So Pavlos, do you want to try to wrap it up for us here?
Yes, yeah. Wait, how much time do we have? I have a little bit. Okay, so I guess you could choose between the two small ones. One is an app that's kind of like Raycast, but specifically for some stuff. The other one is some like little hacking I did around the shell, I guess, like the terminal, and when some reminders I had.
Ooh.
Anything that sounds more interesting than the other?
That second one got
Yeah,
a
that
gasp, an
sounds-
audible
Yeah,
gasp
yeah.
from Jackie.
My pearls.
I think that's the winner.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I can describe the issue I had. So in React Native we have this React Native updater website, whatever. Just like there's some open source stuff that I am like involved in, and every now and then I get like pinged to like go and fix something, or like, oh, look at this is not working, or whatever. Usually it's things that are not very hard, but because I've done it like 100 times, it's easy for me and it's quick. And for other people, they can still do it, but it might take a little bit more time or blah blah. So what I've been thinking of doing for the longest time, or I guess the last few months, is that every time that this ping happens and I have to fix something, I should record or stream the thing, so that there's a guide, I guess, in the future, or like,
cool.
oh, if this happens, like, look at me doing it last time, and then you can do it as well if you want. Or could be also helpful for me in the future if I forget or if I whatever. But every time I get pinged, I'm just like immediately going there, just like fixing it. And then after I'm done, I'm like, damn it, I should have streamed this or something. So I thought, okay, what would be the best way for me to remember every time I go and touch that repo or these couple of repos or whatever, to always remember to do this. So I ended up making a little bit of a like messing around with my shell command, or not shell config, I guess. So if we go over here and I go in the config fish, I guess.
Sure, there you are.
There we go. Okay. So yeah. So I'm using fish for my shell instead of like a Z shell or whatever. Lately I'm just trying this out, and it has this configuration which is the usual, like, regular ZRC or busRC files. So the main thing I did was this bit here. I don't know why it's like getting a little bit weird, but okay. So basically, I have this function that says, basically it runs on whenever pwd changes. So pwd is the command that tells you the current, I don't remember what it translates. So working directory. I don't know what P stands for. Do you guys know?
I don't either.
Who knows? Let's just say something. I don't know. Pavlos working directory. So whenever that changes, and that changes every time. Like if I go in a folder, so let's say functions, right? This is the new thing. So every time this happens, this function will run, and it checks that if the name, if the whole string contains the name or the string purge, which is part of the name of that repo, then it will echo this reminder for me over here. And then also it will run a notification. So if I actually go, yeah, I guess let's go here. Let's see, source and then contrib, and then it should be here, React Native diff purge. Yeah, you see that immediately I get this, which I added this emoji to actually remember this, and I see this every time. And then also there's a notification coming, but it's not here, I guess maybe because it's like streaming or like sharing my screen or whatever.
Like,
But yeah, this basically shows the little notification and it does a little beep. So I hope, since I made this, I haven't been on that folder, haven't been pinged, but I think that I will remember to actually do this.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah,
That's cool.
Go in here again. It's over here. Let's get rid of this thing just so that we see. So yeah, clear, and then go in. Yeah, I feel like I'll see this. I will not forget. Yeah, and that's it. That's my thing.
Ah, very cool. Automate, automate, automate.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like this was actually useful. Like the amount of times that I have forgotten and the time it took me to write this, totally worth it. So yeah, look forward for the next time.
The real life version of this where you can attach it to a room in your house so that you know when you went, why you went into a room. I'm waiting for that.
That would be actually.
Just get a notification on my phone. You're here because you were going to grab the whatever.
Yeah, V2 will be this. Why did I come over here for? Yeah.
Perfect. I also appreciate that you continue your practice of naming your computers after colors.
Oh yeah, did you see this? Yeah, this new one
blue.
is called powder blue. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and cool. Because I use the fish shell, this also is possible for Z shell because I was looking around for if that's like easier, as easy or whatever, and it's totally doable. I don't remember specifically the way to do this, but it's totally doable. So yeah.
Good. I was gonna ask because that looks like it's really simple implementation for fish. Like just to give it that one argument as a trigger seems really nice.
Yeah, I think for the other shells, for Z shell and stuff, you can overwrite CD, like the CD command, to do some stuff before and after or something like that. So there's some ways to like add the hook or just override it or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Very fun. I think we're pretty close to the end, so we should probably wrap it up, eh?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you both for hanging.
Yeah.
That was fun.
See you guys.
I see that you shared a couple things here in private chat. One of them about knolling is the practice of arranging.
Right, yeah, that was the term I was looking for.
KNOLLING. And the XKCD comic. I'll share those things in the comments after we're done. And others. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you guys.
Good
Nice
to
to see
hang.
you
Good to see ya.
And I'm gonna end it now.